From Palestine to Mexico, all these wars have got to go. From Palestine to Mexico, all these wars have got to go. From Palestine to Mexico, all these wars have got to go. DHS has got to go, hey, hey, ho, ho. DHS has got to go, hey, hey, ho, ho. DHS has got to go, hey, hey, ho, ho. DHS has got to go, hey, hey, ho, ho. DHS has got to go, we're going to learn about what the fuck is going on in fascist USA. That's right. So the fascism we're seeing here in our streets have been test-driven everywhere around the fucking world. Everywhere in the US, where black and indigenous people fight day by day to prosper despite the state bent on killing them. We keep fighting, we keep surviving and thriving. If you'll allow me, I'm going to share a little poem with you, alright? Is that cool? Yeah! This is called When Ghosts Come Back to Haunt You. In my prophet's mind, my blind man's eye, I see our chaotic creation. Remember, remember, medio muerto, I remember. When ghosts come back to haunt you, remember that you sent the reaper. Remember the graves left unmarked and their bones piled high so that you could build the wall. When ghosts come wailing at your gates, remember the bullets made in your factories and buried in our jungles. Remember the death squads you summoned from hell to scorch the earth and bathe it with blood. Remember that you exiled us from home with villages burning behind us. When ghosts come pleading at your door, remember that you refused them salvation and threw them in cages. Remember the babies torn apart from mother's arms and the body bags sent back from one war zone to the next. When ghosts come back to haunt you, remember, remember, medio muertos, we remember. So I want to give a moment of silence real quick to the lives lost to imperialist war in the global south from the American empire, to those lost in Palestine against the Israeli settler colonies, in Black America, and in indigenous communities around the world. Let's take a moment of silence to honor those lives. Picked up the shards that remained of the fact that her oldest brother had once existed. While she battled the grief and the rage, my mother sought out the woman in her village who she knew had a relationship with members of the death squad, a brutal military force that the Salvadoran dictatorship deployed against its own citizens when they dared to speak out against that fascist fucking regime. My mother wanted to kill the man who took away her brother. She wanted to dismember the body of the man who thought he had the right to take an innocent life over the petty conflicts of men. My mother's rage and thirst for vengeance was justified, considering that it was her own cousin who threw the grenade at her brother. In wartime in El Salvador, my mother wanted to resort to the same violent means used against her brother and against the Salvadoran people. My mother, like most people in El Salvador and in the US, did not understand that that grenade did not come only from her cousin's hands. Where the fuck do you think that grenade came from? Where the fuck did that grenade come from? Here. The death squads who massacred citizens in El Salvador on behalf of the government, where the fuck were they trained?
America.
Where the fuck were they trained?
America.
The weapons, the funding, the training for bloody fascist war came from this fucking American empire, who funneled money and support to right-wing fascism in Central America, South America, Asia, and beyond. In fact, the death squads, the dictators that my people in El Salvador and thousands around the world have experienced under manufactured war, that shit came from 3 hours north of our countries here in the fucking American empire. Only 45 minutes from where we are standing in Fort Benning, Georgia, the School of the Americas has trained dictators and death squads to massacre people of the global south, black and indigenous and Asian and Latinx people around the fucking world. They are now called the Western Hemisphere of the Western Hemisphere Institute for Security Cooperation, but the School of the Americas will never fucking wash its hands of all the blood it's caused. Shut it down! Shut it down! Shut it down!
Shut it down!
Shut it down!
Shut it down!
At the School of the Americas, the wartime brutality and the violence of the imperialist military has been adapted to support the fascist, white supremacist, imperialist violence of the Department of Homeland Security. This filthy fucking building is one of those offices. Shut it down!
Shut it down!
Shut it down!
Shut it down!
And then in 1924, Border Patrol was created to dehumanize and murder the migrants who attempt to flee from imperialist war, from US-funded and backed dictatorship, and the violent regimes and austerity that we fucking experience in our homelands. These border pigs have served the purposes of the white, wet dream of a white America. Now, Border Patrol is inside of the Customs and Border Protections Agency, which is under the Department of Homeland Security. ICE is under the Department of Homeland Security. Shut it down!
Shut it down!
Shut it down!
Shut it down!
ICE is knowingly exporting COVID-19 around the world. They know that they are intentionally infecting people in its concentration camps. Abolish ICE!
Abolish ICE!
Abolish ICE!
Abolish ICE!
Now we know the violence that we're experiencing, that we're seeing here. We know that the rest of the world has been the laboratory for what we're seeing in Portland, for what we're seeing here in the streets of Atlanta. We have to understand that fascism has always been in this country. We have to understand that the rest of the world has been a fascist laboratory for the American empire. But we have to say, never again!
Never again!
Never again!
Never again!
Never again!
Never again!
Abolish!
Abolish!
ICE!
ICE!
Abolish!
Abolish!
ICE!
ICE!
Abolish DHS!
Abolish DHS!
Abolish DHS!
Abolish DHS!
Thank you very much.
There's fire on the streets of all the Berkley police and the outlaws doing stupid jobs. And we're having indigestion in the belly of the beast because we're slobs doing stupid jobs. And you put your pom-poms down, you did it with go, get out your cutie ass, it's not your business, put your pom-poms down, you did it with go, get your cutie ass, Berkeley's on fire. freedom speech was swastikas like Milo Yiannopoulos. Okay, so we broke a little window, little fight out on the street, but that's our job. Protect you from these slobs. And you put your pom-poms down. You did it with go, bail out your guilty ass. It's not your business, put your pom-poms down. You did it with go, bail your guilty ass out. Berkeley's on fire. Your TV lies will be alright. Berkeley's on fire. Berkeley's on fire. I'm still alive. I don't know why. Berkeley's on